Hey, Olive, Arlo, and Frank. Grandpa coming to you from the living room in Jacksonville Beach. Now let's look at the first of these myths in a first myth storybook. So today we're going to look at a very famous one that happened in ancient Greece. Well, nobody thinks that it really happened, and you'll see two guys did. It's a father and son. So, what is our agenda today? It's always going to be the same agenda. First, and we're going to learn how to spell the word, and then you're going to learn what the word means. The words today, although you know what all these words mean, Olive, you're not even 2 years old yet, so you just said grandpa for the first time. I was on the phone with your mom today, and you said grandpa. Really warmed my heart. Yeah, it was plain as day. Your mom said, I'm on the phone with Grandpa. And you went, Grandpa? So, and I remember, Arlo and Frank, I remember the first times that you ever called me Grandpa. Although, Frank, you were older by the time. Because you lived pretty far from us, the other side of New Jersey. So next we're going to look at we're going to find the word. So we're going to, and you can do it one of two ways. This is one slide. The whole story is on one slide today. So what you can do is go to the next slide. Well, when it goes to the next slide, just hit pause and look through and try to find the words. Or you can wait until the end and we'll kind of find the words together anyway. Because unless I miss it, unless I just don't really realize it, I'm going to stop when we get to the word. And then at the end, you can go through and look again. Whatever helps you to learn the words, because these are easy, but it'll get harder. And it'll get harder pretty quickly. So then we're going to read through with me. And you can try to read it. A story like this, if you're yet able to read a story like this, but maybe some things have been going on that I didn't know about. And then you read it. And so you can try to read it. So what I want you to do is that while we're going through this story, try to remember some of the words. So maybe today you won't be able to get through the whole story and read every word, but eventually you will. So that's another time you can just stop it and then you read it. And then the dreaded Grandpa quiz. And I added something today. The Grandpa quiz is going to be the spelling words and their meanings, but also what was the story about? It's very important. There's no reason to read something if you don't understand it and you can't remember what you read. Except for me, because I can't remember what I read this morning, but I'm an old man, and I'm still just your dopey grandpa. So, vocabulary for the fall of Icarus. The first is sea. sea. Like when you come and visit your grandmother and me in Jacksonville Beach, and we go down to the sea. How do you think that's spelled? Well, it's spelled like this. S-E-A. Sea. And what does it mean? Well, it's an ocean. It's just a different way of saying ocean. There might be a little different, might be bigger or something, but you can call it an ocean a sea and a sea an ocean. Nobody's going to give you a hard time. So what's the next one? Next one's another word that you're very, very familiar with. And I'll give you a hint. It starts with the same letter as sea. And that is sky. How do you think sky would be spelled? So when you look at sea, it's the S and then that E-A together makes the E sound, sea. But this won't have a letter like E, which is a vowel. It's going to have a consonant because it doesn't make an open sound. It makes a sky, sky. How do you think that's spelled? S-K-Y, sky. And what does sky mean? Well, duh. Look up and you'll see the sky. It's much easier to say that than to try to explain what the sky is. It's the air. It's, everything above you. Well, it's not the clouds and it's not the sun, but it's the space in between us and all that stuff is the sky. So the next one is fly. So we're talking about like what a bird does. It flies. So sea and sky start with the letter S. What letter do you think the word fly starts with? Can you in it? Fly. And then the second letter is going to have L, fly. And it rhymes with sky. So there's a good possibility that the last letter, well, it's F-L-Y, sky. Or sky, fly. And what does it mean to fly? To get airborne. So you look at mosquitoes, and birds, and airplanes. They all fly. So they get up into the air. Now, the next word is a word that you're very familiar with, Arlo, because it's your favorite. Well, I think your second favorite thing. I think your most favorite thing is tornadoes, and I doubt if there were any tornadoes in this book. I know there's no tornadoes in this story. But your second favorite, I think, is bird. How do you think you spell bird? So it starts bird. What letters do you think are in bird? Here it is, B-I-R-D. Bird. And now you know what a bird is, Arlo. And Frank, you certainly know what a bird is. But you're probably not going to be watching any of these. And hopefully you will eventually. You don't have to memorize this. But I just wanted you to know that these are the things about a bird. So although you'll be learning this stuff about a bird, and this says a warm-blooded, egg-laying vertebrate distinguished by the possession of feathers, wings, being able to fly. So they don't, birds, not all birds can fly. There's some birds that can't. There's not a lot there. Like us and like Duncan and Rue, the dogs, they're warm-blooded. What are some cold-blooded creatures? Well, fish in the sea, not mammals in the sea, but fish in the sea. Although you have a turtle, I'm pretty sure that turtle is cold-blooded. But that turtle, I think, is egg-laying. So different animals do different things. Vine, it has a backbone. It's distinguished by the possession of feathers, wings, and a beak, and typically by being able to fly. So, with that being said, let's go and see the fall of Icarus. Daedalus. So this is a name, Icarus, and this is a name, Daedalus. You don't have to learn these names now. They're ancient Greek names, and you know the story, and then be able to spell words, remember the story, and stuff like that. So let's see who these people are to each other, Icarus and Daedalus. Daedalus, the inventor, was a prisoner on the island of Crete with his son Icarus. So, like a scientist, but he was a prisoner. He wasn't in prison. He was just on this island, the island of Crete. And your grandmother and I have been to Crete just for a day. We were on a cruise, and we got off and went there. It's a pretty big island. Was guarding all the harbors. Now, this word here, harbor, is not spelled this way in America where we live. It doesn't have the U right there. But we saw the last one, the first one of these, that the book was actually from Great Britain, from England. And there are certain words that they spell differently. Harbor, labor, they put a U in there. So in harbors are where the sea, you know, where it goes, you have rivers that are inland, and then you have the harbors are the places where you can have a boat and everything. But they couldn't escape because this King Minos was guarding all the routes to get out of there by a boat. But this guy, Daedalus, is an inventor. So let's see what he does. Very well, then, said Daedalus. Oh, and that's our word there, see. But you probably already knew that. Very well, then, said Daedalus. We'll try. So what's it talking about? Try the sky. There were no airplanes back then. What are they going to do? He meant they would fly away from the island like birds. So that's another one of your words, but your word is bird, not birds, but it just means more than one bird. How are they going to fly away like birds? Daedalus would. Then he plays with wax to make 2 pairs of wings. So it's 2 sets of wings. A pair is 2. So he makes 4 wings. 2 for himself and 2 for his son Icarus. But it's very important that you know that wax, like a candle, that it's very soft. It melts. As there, he doesn't have some sort of glue to use. Now you can fly. So that's another one of our words. Said Daedalus, strapping the wings to Icarus's. And see that where you have that apostrophe S? That means it's something that belongs to Icarus. So it's Icarus's arms. So the arms that belong to Icarus. And that's how you write that, apostrophe S. But there are some important rules. He wants his son to fly off this island. Pretty scary. Although one time we were at the beach last year and there was this guy in this little personal hovercraft that had wings, and he was flying it down the beach, and you were just like amazed by that. Might have been 2 years ago. So stay close behind me and we will get home safely. Don't fly too high or the sun will melt the wax. So all up in the sky. And if you could fly, because nobody back then could fly as far as we know. I mean, they didn't have airplanes. They may have, some civilizations may have had hot air balloons, but we don't have any proof of that until, I forget when it was, the Montgolfier brothers, I think, Montgolfier in France, probably in the 1800s, flew the first known hot air balloon. But there's some people that think that there were hot air balloons back in these days, but no indication that these folks knew anything about that. That don't fly too high, held together with wax, and if you get close to the sun, the feathers are going to fall out, and you won't be able to fly. And what's going to happen then? Well, we'll see. And don't fly too low, or the sea will make your feathers soggy. And soggy just means damp, wet. And so here's all these. This is the boy and his dad, and he's bringing the basket of feathers. And then I guess I don't think they had that kind of an ink pen back then, but okay, got it. That's a candle. And then he's putting the feathers in the wax. And he's putting the feathers onto the wing. And here's the little boy Icarus with his wings on. So then, let's see here. They're flying. They're flying. Be pretty cool, wouldn't it? They climbed to the top of a cliff. And a cliff, Arlo, down the road from you, there's a trail that sometimes you get to the end of it, it goes straight down. So that's what a cliff is. It's the end of a mountain that just goes straight down. But that's how, if you're going to fly as a human being, and human beings can fly to a certain extent. There's these things called squirrel suits. And there's these things that are like parachutes. There's I think there's one other thing that doesn't have a motor. And there's also airplanes, like there's these things called gliders that you tow them behind a motorized airplane, and then that motorized airplane lets you go. Like you have a rope and it tows you up, and when you get up there, it lets you go, and then you have to fly and get back. They climbed to the top of a cliff and leapt off. So that means they jumped off. To like eagles. So soaring is flying in a really spectacular fashion. You're soaring. It's not just flying. They're like up there going, look at us. We're that cool. So does Icarus. You guys always listen to your dad? At first, Icarus stayed close to his father. So at first he did, but to remember the rules. And I remember times when I was a little boy that I had too much fun to remember the rules. He rose higher and higher in the sky. And there's another one of your words that we found. We missed a couple. So think about this. What were the rules? Stay behind me. Don't fly too low. But he is flying higher and higher in the sky. Closer and closer to the hot sun. When Daedalus looked back, he what was that? He couldn't see Icarus. So the dad, Daedalus, and that's a good way to remember him, so the dad looks back and he can't see Icarus. He called out his name, but there was no reply. What happened to Icarus? Daedalus spotted a few feathers floating on the waves below. Then he had fallen into the sea. Now it doesn't say it here, but it's not like he could swim. And he was out, in the ocean. And he killed himself quite often by jumping off a high bridge into water, but they were going so fast by the time they hit the water that they killed themselves on impact. So this is a sad story. And it's a story about not listening to your parents. You should listen to your parents. And when you're obedient, your family wants the best for you. And so this Daedalus, he was trying to escape whatever it was that this king mind stuck there on this island, and he wanted to escape it, provide his son with a better life, and the son just didn't listen to him. So don't be like Icarus. And to your parents, don't be like Daedalus. Don't come up with stupid plans. We're going to fly out of here. Let me make some wings. So, the first word is sea. S-E-A. And what does sea mean? It's an ocean. Remember yesterday, the last one of these, I don't know if you watched it yesterday, an. Well, this is a vowel here. Oh, ocean. So it's an ocean. You wouldn't say a ocean. A ocean. English is a language that flows. Most languages are languages that flow. Okay, the next word is sky. And what does sky mean? Duh. Yep. Look up. You're looking at the sky. Well, unless you're inside your house. Like right now, I'm looking at the ceiling. But if I was outside, I'd be looking at the sky. Okay, the next one is fly. Spell that. And what does that mean? Yep. To get airborne. And the last one is bird. Bird. How do you spell bird, bird, bird? Bird is the word. Bird, bird, bird. Yeah. This is how you spell it. B-I-R-D. And you guys know what a bird is, but it's a warm-blooded egg-laying vertebrate distinguished by the possession of feathers, wings, and a beak, and typically by being able to fly. Most things in life is, and it's something complicated like this, then you go, well, what's a simple explanation of that? Well, this is as simple as it could be. So, the last thing is, what was the story? And these, the words and the recap of the story. You're going to recap it. You're going to tell me well, I won't hear it, but you're going to say what the story was about. You can write that down. Eventually you can write that down. Same with the spelling and the meanings. Then it's easier to remember it. But for now, you can just say it. So what was the story about? Icarus disregards his father's warnings and flies too close to the sun, causing his wax wings to melt and leading to his tragic means that he dies, fall into the sea. So, this will be fun. And legends from around the world. This is really a legend, I believe, not a myth. Because myths, there's a certain amount of, but just the truth that has changed over time as it was handed down from generation to generation. So, as they say, peace out. It's not making balloons go. See you next time.